Okay, so you have just watched the video which has covered the first rule, commas with conjunctions. Now we're going to move into commas with introductory words and phrases. This one's a little easier to explain, but maybe like the opposite of the other, a little harder to potentially understand. So let's see if we can help explain what is meant by an introductory word or phrase. You know you will need a comma with an introductory word or phrase if two criteria are met. Number one, can that word or phrase be picked up and moved to another part of the sentence without changing the sentence's meaning? So don't rearrange the words, just pick the word or phrase up and move it and plug it into another part of the sentence. If you can do that without changing the sentence's meaning, and you can also exclude that word or phrase that you've picked up without losing the main point of the sentence, which is essentially the subject and the verb of the sentence. If you can do that, or actually I say if you can do both of those, then you need to put a comma after that introductory word or phrase. So let's see how this works. If you can both pick it up and move it and exclude it without losing your subject and your verb, the main point of the sentence, then you need to have a comma after that word or phrase. So here's an example. After the movie, John went home. So notice this introductory phrase right here, after the movie, I can pick it up and move it to another part of the sentence, and it might sound like this. John went home after the movie, or John, after the movie, went home. So because I can pick that word or phrase up and move it, that's part one of this, then I know I'm on my way to needing that comma right there. The other thing I have to be able to do is totally exclude that phrase. Get rid of after the movie. Do I still know what happened? John went home. Notice this is telling me when John went home, but I still have my subject, John, and I know what he did. He went home. So because I can both pick up after the movie and move it to another part of the sentence, it requires a comma after it. The same is true of sometimes. Mary gets upset. In this case, I can pick sometimes up and move it to another part of the sentence. Mary gets upset sometimes, or Mary sometimes gets upset. Notice I can also get rid of it completely. Mary gets upset. I might not know when she does it, but I still understand and I don't lose my subject, Mary, or what Mary does, which is gets upset. So if I can pick it up and move it, and I can exclude it without getting rid of my subject and verb, then I need to have a comma after that introductory word or phrase. Notice that introductory words and phrases are not always the shortest part of the sentence. Before the cop could tell what was happening, the burglars ran. So notice I can pick this introductory phrase up and move it around. The burglars ran before the cop could tell what was happening. Or the burglars, before the cop could tell what was happening, ran. I don't have to be able to put it multiple places, but I at least have to be able to pick it up and scoot it to another part of the sentence. Also notice that if I get rid of this completely, I still know what happened. The burglars ran. I don't know exactly when it took place, but I still have my subject, the burglars, and I know what they did. They ran. So I have all of those elements in place, therefore I have to put the comma after that. Next to the man, I saw the pistol. I can pick up this introductory phrase right here and move it to the end of the sentence. I saw the pistol next to the man. I can also get rid of it and you still know what happened. I saw the pistol. You just don't know where the pistol was, but you do know in fact that I saw it. So because I can pick this up and move it, because I can exclude it without losing my subject and verb, it requires a comma after that introductory phrase. Now, here is something that you may have noticed in those, if you're familiar with parts of speech. In all of these sentences right here, you will notice prepositional words and prepositional phrases that come after those words. After the movie, before the cop could tell what was happening, next to the man. And so what these prepositions will do, if you understand what a preposition is, they will clue you into, hey, I'm probably going to need a comma, because whenever a sentence, I shouldn't say whenever, most of the time, 99% of the time, if a sentence starts with a prepositional word or phrase, you can pretty much be guaranteed it's going to require a comma. So what is a preposition? This is something that will help you determine whether or not you've got an introductory phrase if you understand what a preposition is. Prepositions tell us something about place and time. And so if you look at this little cube, or actually it's like a cuboid that I have down here, you will notice that I have used prepositional words to describe place. You can be on this cube, you can be in this cube, you can be under it, you can be beside it. All of these words right here are prepositions because they tell us about place, my place in relation to this particular cuboid. On the other side over here, and notice even between tells us something about place because I can be between these two. But it also can tell us something about time. If this cube is actually doing something, or as a person, I can come before it. I can be doing something as the cube is doing this, during the same time the cube is doing it, also after the cube is doing it. So in these two examples right here with this cube, I'm showing that prepositions are telling us about place and about time. And if you recognize that, then you can automatically pretty much see when you start your own sentences, if you're using words that tell you something about place and time, these prepositions, then you're going to know I probably have a comma that is coming up. But that is not necessarily the case when you flip sentences around. So notice the difference here. After the movie, John went home. That requires a comma because I can pick this up and I can exclude it. But notice, this does not require a comma right here in the same place that you may say, well, wait a minute, I need it there, because even though we know I can pick John went home up and move it around, I cannot exclude this because I would be left with after the movie. So this is not, this right here is absolutely necessary information for the meaning of the sentence. I cannot get rid of it, therefore it doesn't require a comma. So when you flip the sentence around where you have the prepositional phrase first, the comma is required. It is not required when you put the prepositional phrase at the end of the sentence. The same is true here. Before the cop could tell what was happening, comma, the burglars ran. When I flip it around, the burglars ran before the cop could tell what was happening. Even though I can move the burglars ran around in a sentence, I cannot exclude that because then I would be left with before the cop could tell what was happening. So this is a necessary part of the sentence in order for it to make sense. Therefore, I cannot put the comma there. Next to the man, I saw the pistol. I saw the pistol next to the man. Same situation. Even though I can move, I saw the pistol around. Next to the man does not make sense by itself. I cannot get rid of this. So in this case, this is absolutely required for the sentence, and therefore this is not an introductory phrase. This is the main part of the sentence. So whenever you start with an introductory phrase, you need the comma. Whenever you end with it, you do not need that information, especially with a prepositional phrase. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Shoot me an email if you've got questions about that, and I will try to help you out. But that way, when I'm marking your papers, if you are my students, you're going to have a better understanding of when I say you need a comma with this introductory phrase, you'll understand why. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to cover another 2 rules with the next one. And then that will pretty much cover us for the 4 different rules. So watch that next video and we'll be in good shape. And then I'm going to have one more after that about semicolons.